Let's go to a story now that if you do get your news from the ABC or The Guardian, you would have missed.
How dare you!
Back to your position.
Dare you people do that to innocent people?
That's right. The Greens senator, who recently apologised for making sexist comments to a female coalition senator, was hurling abuse at police just trying to do their jobs. Thorpe had gathered outside the Melbourne Immigration Transit and Accommodation on Tuesday after a decision was handed down to send detainees to Christmas Island. That decision has to be honoured. That is the law. And the police were just doing their jobs when Thorpe and her gang of crazies decided they were more important than our legal system, more important than our democratic approach to writing legislation. Their opinions should supersede all of that, everything our ancestors have built. People at this protest called police pigs and white supremacists, among other slurs that I won't even repeat. Still, many in the media were clearly putting the blame back on police.
Police are defending the force used to subdue protesters during a wild demonstration in Melbourne's north. Officers used capsicum spray to break up the rally outside the Broadmeadows Detention Centre.
A 6-hour standoff explodes as police use extreme tactics to move demonstrators on.
Now, to be fair to Seven, it did eventually play parts of Lydia Thorpe's unhinged rant, although not the more vile aspects. But on The Guardian and the ABC's website, I am yet to see a news report shining a light on Thorpe's actions. It's almost as if it never happened. And I'm starting to notice a trend with this. Remember when The Guardian found an old tweet from Liberal candidate Katherine Deves saying she would fight for the French resistance? Well, they wrote a story saying she was comparing her activism to the Holocaust. New South Wales Liberal candidate likens anti-trans activism to opposing the Holocaust. Well, that's not really what she was saying, but fair enough, the left doesn't think it appropriate to reference World War II atrocities in an argument. However, the left is nothing if not inconsistent. The Australian broke this story a few weeks back, exposing Climate 200-backed Kooyong candidate Monique Ryan for sharing an edited fake photo of Donald Trump on the cover of Adolf Hitler's autobiography. Well, The Guardian hasn't touched that story, so all of this fake outrage about Katherine Deves invoking the horrors of World War II are nothing compared to this bumpkin wannabe politician comparing those she disagrees with to Hitler. The double standards of reporting during this election campaign are extraordinary, as is the deteriorating calibre of our political class. Evan, have you noticed a bit of a trend? I think The Guardian is the worst offender in this situation. I'm not seeing any negative coverage of these Teal candidates. I think the Nazi photo is a perfect case study for that, but it's almost, bias by omission, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a real streak of anti-Semitism that runs through these Teal campaigns and their supporters as well. The thing I don't get, and the Guardian is the worst for this, they'll lead a pile-on, say, on preferences and say, Dave Sharma's preference Clive Palmer, and that's terrible, and they shouldn't be doing preference deals. Well, the Labor Party, in order to form government, is reliant on Greens' preferences in order to win a swag of seats. And this is who Lydia Thorpe, the Labor Party, put number 2 in the Senate on their preference wheel. This is someone who was yelling at police. This is someone who, said the most vile things at that protest and has said the most vile things in the past. Yet you see no media scrutiny from The Guardian, you see no media scrutiny from the ABC, and it just goes left unsaid that the Labor Party would do preference deals with the Greens. I think there needs to be a lot more scrutiny of that in comparison to the Liberal Party doing deals with parties that are more naturally aligned to them.
Daisy, your thoughts on the protest? Was Lydia Thorpe out of line?
Well, she was completely out of line. I mean, I have nothing against politicians attending protests and marches. They do it all the time. But you cannot just, in general, stand there and scream at police and get up in their faces when all they're doing is standing in front of you, let alone if you are a politician on the taxpayer dime. It was completely, completely out of line for her. But, of course, the thing is, she knows exactly what she's doing when she does these things. She is totally appealing to her Greens base. That's why there really has not been been any kind of mea culpa from the Greens about it, because they know that all their voters love it. They love all that kind of stuff. They love yelling at cops, etc., etc. That's what the Greens are all about. So, yeah, I mean, your average person and people like us will look at her and go, oh, that's such terrible behaviour. It's totally appealing to the Greens base. This is also the woman who claimed that she was racially profiled by Virgin Stuff because she was asked to eliminate weight from her handbag before she got on the plane. And I can assure you that as a white woman, I was once told that I had to remove 2.5 kilograms worth of loose coins and loose paper from my handbag before I was allowed on a Jetstar flight, and I'm clearly Caucasian. So Lydia Thorpe, she's not a serious person, she's not a serious politician, but she is appealing to her base.
I hadn't heard the last airport one. That's brilliant. Daisy Cousins, thank you so much for joining me.
Fabulous. Thank
Evan
you so
Mulholland,
much, Jack.
Thank you so much, mate.